Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and this is Phillip Feazell. We are your special host on Donna's Edge television talk show, and you can find us on television. We are syndicated on Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. We're also on the radio, right, Phil?
Absolutely. We're right here in local in Abbeville, big country station. WZLA.
That's 92.9 FM on the dial. Make sure you check them out. They play the older country stuff.
They do.
I really do like that.
They don't do the rural country and stuff like that. It's some of the older stuff.
It is. Stuff like Alabama Feels So Right.
Right.
And Christmas in Dixie, they'll be playing
That'll
that.
be coming up soon.
Sure.
Or probably already has. I don't know.
Ronnie Mills out.
There's all kind of some of the older stuff that you don't hear hardly ever anymore.
They're really good. And I'm looking forward to Christmas time with them too. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Abbeville is, and we're going to talk to you folks a little bit about Abbeville before we get started. We're going to talk about travel tips. And believe me, we've traveled a lot, so we can tell you what not to do, right?
Absolutely.
So
by experience.
Abbeville it's a real cozy little town. Now we're in a small town living there, but it's really handy to be close to the big towns, but I don't want to live in a big town.
Right. We're just a few minutes from getting into population. So we're not that far out.
We're country folks, we want to keep it country.
Absolutely.
And so we're on a little bit over 8 acres of land. Right. We have a farm. We have chickens, and we have all kinds of really neat, and I love gardening. And Phil just bought me a greenhouse.
Yes. We've been looking at that for several years, and thought we was going to do it one time, and we didn't get it in time, so we are doing that. So the gardener here can start early, get things. She has seeded most everything she puts in the ground.
Oh, I love doing that.
So she'll have it seeded and ready to pop in the ground when time comes, and actually extend the time of having gardens producing even further into the cooler months. Well,
Phil's a huge supporter. When I told him I wanted to go back to Auburn University, and come on, don't start that. He's an Alabama fan, for goodness, if you couldn't figure that out. So, but anyway, some great things come out of Auburn.
Yes, it did.
And so I got to take some classes, and I learned just enough to know that I don't know nothing.
Right.
So that's, but anyway, we learn as we go. And each area is actually going to be, different when it comes to the zones and that kind of thing. As a matter of fact, it's just very much like Alabama.
Pretty cool.
So Alabama, we lived in the northern part of Alabama. So that was, one zone, gardening zone. And then South Alabama was almost tropical.
It was like being, like you said, in the tropics because of the ocean and stuff like that. They were right close to it.
South Carolina, very much the same way. We've got, out where we live in Abbeville, then you got the other side over there. If you want to go out and be close to the ocean, that's a total new zone right there.
You can get out there close to Myrtle Beach and stuff like in that area, and we got a coastline. So same as Alabama had a coastline.
So it's a whole lot of fun, whole lots of things to learn. I'm looking forward to meeting some master gardeners here in Abbeville.
Yeah, you rounded up on some of them, but just get a little time and you'll be there.
But it's pretty exciting. Well, we wanted to talk to you about traveling, and because pretty much most of our married life we've lived away.
Yes.
And we do travel once a month back to Alabama to take care of our sponsors. We have some wonderful, wonderful sponsors. Bobby Ledbetter with Twin City Used Car Sales is always so gracious to let us go out there, and so we get to tape, and I love doing live shows with him anyway. He's so much fun, but he's a good guy. And when I think of the holidays, I always think of Bobby and how Bobby helped a lot of folks during those COVID years, when it was so rough, and a lot of folks, the food supply chain, was getting kind of rough. And so Bobby was so good to open up his business and fed thousands and thousands of people. But we'll be traveling, and so we'll be going back to Alabama in just a couple more weeks. And then that'll be just in time for the Thanksgiving holidays. And then Christmas holidays, we'll be going back. But I got to bring you back in time. You remember when we first moved to Charlotte, North Carolina?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And it was already how many hours of drive was that back to Alabama?
It was gosh, 10 hours.
It was something like that. Well, it depends on who drives.
That's true. If she was behind the wheel, we was there another class.
Quicker, a lot quicker.
But we, it would take us a good 10, maybe 11 hours
But it took
driving
almost
straight through.
18 hours.
It did. When we hit the interstate, when we entered the interstate in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina,
85.
and on that coming 85, it was already backing up. I mean, traffic was slow. So it did take us right at 18 hours the very first time we went back to Alabama.
Well, that was, we waited the day of almost.
So we
was
were in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't prepare far enough along, go ahead enough, but the traffic was there waiting on us.
Mm-hmm. And think about this, though. If you move to a bigger city, which, you know, Charlotte's the biggest city in North Carolina,
Right.
Raleigh's getting pretty close. But anyway, Charlotte was huge. It still is huge. Now, this is back before they grew to 1 million people.
Right.
So they were, during that time, was around 400,000 people. And Charlotte is and I love Charlotte. Charlotte is the banking capital of the United States. So you got to think about all those folks that have been transferred into Charlotte. We're moving, going, but I mean, I met people from every state in the union.
They're all congregating around the banking capital, and for a good reason, I'm sure. If there could be a lot of them in banking or something dependent on banking. So,
well, banking brings other industry
absolutely.
In as well. So
well, it's like government being military bases. When a military base is opened, then you have private owners that are going in and supplying the military and working with the military. So they bring other business in. Same with
which
banking.
brings other people in from other walks of life in different states, you know, which does that. So anyway, to make an extremely long story short, we should have went the day before.
Yes.
Had we went a day before, we would have spent a lot less time out there on the road. So this is rule number one. Make sure you plan the destination. If you're driving and you're going to be going, you know, from state to state, try to leave as close as you can, but not as close to the holidays as you possibly can. So instead of leaving on, say, Wednesday of Thanksgiving, we could have left on Tuesday and just shaved off hours. Now, you're still going to have a lot of travel, a lot of folks that are traveling in there. But what is it about when they're, and I got, okay, this is my beef. Okay, so when you're driving on the road, and before you die and go to heaven, you got to go through Atlanta.
That's what I hear.
So this is, that's what they say. Even airline, you know, even airline folks on the airline say, you know, I've heard before you die and go to heaven, you have to stop by the Atlanta airport to get through. So maybe not that rash, but when you're traveling and there has been an accident, my beef is everybody has to stop and, okay, you got Atlanta, you got 85, you got all 4 lanes going one way and all 4 lanes going another way, going back the other way. Why does the whole thing have to be shut down? When there's an accident, why can't people just sightseers?
Well, they are. The police or the law enforcement tries to get it off of the interstate as soon as it can. But they can't pull the people that wants to slow down or stop to look. Well, if it did, they wouldn't have anybody on interstate probably. But anyway, that's what they want to stop, see what's going on. I guess it's thrilling to them or something. But I lived in Atlanta for a few years. Not a lot different than it is now. There was still traffic, but if somebody ran over somebody, you might as well have plenty of gasoline in your vehicle and plenty of time because you wasn't going in very fast.
Which is number 2. Make sure you got plenty of fuel in the car, especially when you're going through a big city and through Atlanta, your Charlottes and Raleighs and Birmingham, Alabama, any of those areas. Make sure.
And another thing, if you have to bypass a huge, we'll just say Atlanta, you want to do a little research first. What's going on this weekend or that weekend in Atlanta?
We learned that the hard way.
You could have the Braves playing. You could have the Hawks playing. You could have the Falcons playing. Okay.
The Panthers in Charlotte. Oh my goodness.
It's going to be busy because people are coming in, and or even, is it football? Is it college football? They have that is going to Atlanta as well.
Mm-hmm.
So just research what's going on in the route you're going to take. It may not just be Atlanta. It could be some of the smaller areas, and see if they're having anything. You know, we did that with Talladega. We found out the hard way they had a race. We didn't foresee that because we didn't do our research.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, find out the events. That's easy to do. You just find the events that are happening. And I'll have to tell you, the best thing, and a lot of folks say, oh, technology is taking over the world. I love technology in a lot of ways. The best thing that ever happened to us was GPS. and I love, sometimes it gets you off, but I like it because they can show you, there'll be like the little line, the little route you're going, and then you can see, about to come up on a yellow route. What does that mean? Okay, the traffic's getting slower, and then when it gets to red,
it don't take. Hey, you can slow down. You're going to slow down,
whether you want to or not.
Going to slow down. Could be they're getting something off the road, a wreck or something, but slowing down. But if it goes red, what you can do about it?
Yeah,
again, just make sure you've got petrol in your vehicle and time. If you don't have time, you just idle up.
Now let's talk about when you're taking turns driving, and you and I do that a lot.
We do that, and it makes it easier if you're not behind the wheel all the time. It gives you a little break. Okay, it's still sitting, but you can't do much about that unless you lay down in the car. You can do that, I guess. But we all got
There's never going to be a car long enough for him. I'm just in those long legs events.
And we got to pull something else anyway, so we'd be in trouble anyway. So, but it does give you a little break. We try to do it every 2 hours, swap every 2 hours, and then it makes things go a little easier, a little more comfortable.
Yeah, and let's talk about restroom breaks, because he can go to the restroom and he'll say, do you need to go? And I'll say, no, I don't have to go. 10 minutes down the road, I got to go. So I like to take the exits that are less traveled because they're easy to get on again. Let me tell you another little tip too. So if I'm driving and I know you're going to take over the wheel, and you do the same thing for me. So what I like to do, if you're going to turn over, I like to go to the right side of the exit and try to find a gasoline, but I don't want the busiest exit, okay? Especially if you just happen to be traveling through, everybody's going home, and, and it's like a 5 o'clock and you're traveling through. So I always like to take to the right as much as I possibly can. If you take to the left, it's going to take you longer to get back on the interstate. But another thing I do is I take to the right. Then I want to go back on the other side of the road so that it's easier for one of us, whoever's going to be switching the wheel, can get back on again. So that's another little tip. It takes time.
It does take a little time, but you get experience from that. Okay, we're not stopped. This is a busy exit. A lot of travel going on right there. So you just kind of scope it out as you're driving and say, okay, well, there's service stations, there's whatever, and make it stop in at that time.
Yeah, it just makes life a whole lot easier to get on and off. And another thing that for restroom breaks, now when we're coming from I-20 from Alabama and we're coming back, before we get to Atlanta, I always like to stop by whatever the state rest area is. They're cleaner restrooms.
They are. So far, we have so far now. Going back home from Alabama, right just as you cross the Georgia line, there is a rest area, and it's nice and clean. And they even have coffee there most of the time.
Yeah. That's good. And if you're traveling in the wintertime when it's cold outside, that's very welcome. Yes. And they're very friendly at that rest area too.
They are very friendly.
And if you're a little confused about where you're going, they can usually give you guidelines. And sometimes they'll know when there's going to be some work on the interstate. That's what they're there for. And they'll say, you know what, if you'll take exit whatever, you'll miss that big crowded area. And they'll tell you, because they know the shortcuts. They live there.
But it's hard to get somebody's direction and say, well, do they know what they're talking about or not? Because sometimes they may not.
If it's a teenager, sometimes
may not be a fast.
Yeah, sometimes like people like to play games on you, though. They'll take you deliberately.
And sometimes GPS will do that.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm wondering if teenagers are running the GPS system out there as well.
It could be.
Yeah, I have to wonder about that. But yeah, these are just some really, we can tell you what to do and what not to do. Now, let's go into a commercial break. When we come back, let's talk about the best travel dates and the best time if you're going to fly out anywhere or if you're looking for a hotel. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
We're back. My name is Donna. Well, that got me quick, didn't it?
Oh, that's real quick.
I want to thank all of our great sponsors. My name is Donna. I'm your host of Donna's Age Television Talk Show. This is the guy who actually knows what he's doing when it comes to the business. This show's been going on now for 20 years.
20 years, correct.
And so I don't know what I'd do without you because I'm going to tell you, I can make some bloopers. And so the really neat thing about doing a tape show is you can take those bloopers out.
I can't. And sometimes we have to. Sometimes whoever she's interviewing having a little problem
Coughing or something.
or sometimes their equipment don't operate right, camera's not working right, sounds was all that. But I can eliminate that. You don't hear that unless I'm asleep or something and don't catch it.
Yeah.
And if she has something she has to start over on, she lets me know. Then I know where to look. I look for it. If I don't look for it, I'll miss it.
Let's talk about flight because well, I got to say this, flying out's not as fun as it used to be.
Not. Used to, it's
used
a
to
lot
have a
better.
lot of fun.
People have messed it up because they want to mess this up, and you don't know if it's safe anymore or not.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, there's some really good tips. And I learned this from flight attendants in Charlotte, Charlotte International Airport there. So I met a lot of awesome flight attendants out there. And this is what they said. They said that there's actually an inventory that airlines use. They get rid of excess inventory. And that's about when you can get the best flights,
right?
And the least expensive flights that are out there. And those are either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday night after midnight is when you're going to find the best prices. And sure enough, I've saved a lot of money. You remember when we went to New York, and this was for your birthday.
Yep.
So we flew out from New York. I wound up, and this has been several years ago, it'd probably be higher than this now, but I looked out on one of the Priceline.com, And I did exactly like a flight attendant said to do. She said you had to do a little bit after midnight. Well, I wound up getting us a hotel stay for 4 days.
Yeah.
And also the flight cost us each $400 and something.
Right.
It was about $800 for 4 nights and the flight to get out there. But again, their inventory is going down. They're getting newer, they call it inventory.
Yeah.
And this is when their flights are going out there. But then I was able to get the hotel as well.
Right.
That was a great deal right there. Even one of the flight attendants, when we got back from the trip, I said, you know what it cost us to go? It cost $800. She said each. And I said, no, that was not for both of us.
Yep.
You know, and so that was super deal. So you can do the same thing if you go to hotels.com. And let me tell you something else you can do. A lot of these sites have credit cards now that you can get, and they're going to give you a credit if you'll try to get the credit card. So I did that with hotels.com, and it actually goes through Wells Fargo, which is the bank we use anyway. And so I was able to get a credit of $150.
Yeah.
So we wound up getting 2 hotel stays for free.
And a lot of these cards build up, let you build up some rewards by using the flights and save money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that saved us quite a bit of money. Now I know Capital One, we have a Capital One card with them. And so when I got that, we were having some repairs done here at the house. It was going to cost like $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
And it was for windows and that kind of thing coming into the new house that we bought. And so I was able to get a $500 credit, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so to get the credit card, you get a $500 credit, plus you're getting the points on it.
Yeah.
And so that helped a long way, I mean, in order to get those windows.
Right. And I think some of the ones that you can use for flights, I give you flat miles or something like that. So you can, the more you fly, the discounts kind of offset some of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the way to go if you can go ahead and get that. But no, this is the key. Make sure you pay it off as quick as you can, because you're really not making anything if you're making payments on it. You've got,
the interest and penalties and all that, whatever. But yeah.
So that's great advice right there for the flight attendants on traveling and taking those flights. Oh, and another thing, be kind to the flight attendants. And let me tell you why. I don't know how many times I've got bumped up to first class, because I'm not going to pay for first class. You guys know how I am about that. So be courteous, be kind. Don't be fake about it. Be your genuine self. And so numerous times I've got bumped up.
Yeah.
And so one time we were flying, and I had Mother with me, and I was flying from Charlotte back to Birmingham again. And so I thank the lady for seating us. And so she looked at me and she said, "Is this your mother?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "How would you like to go first class?" And I said, "How much is that going to cost me?" She said, "Nothing. We got a couple of open spaces up there." So we got to go first class going on the way back to Alabama. So that's happened numerous times. Absolutely. And I'll have to tell you this. The best part of the plane, I think, if you're not going first class, the best place is the back of the plane. I try to get as close to the back as I can for numerous reasons. First of all, you don't have people bumping over you, Now, he likes to sit where this open space is, where the door is. And if you sit there, they're going to ask you, in case something happens, a disaster, want to know if you know how to use the door, open the door, where you could help, if something happens.
Well, it's a requirement. If you're put in those seats, you have to be able to do that. If something goes awry, crazy, and you're on the ground, somebody's got to open the door. So that's the only long seats for long-legged people.
Yeah. That's what I was getting at.
You kind of sit there with your knees up against the seat in front of you.
So that's another reason you like to sit there. But I like to sit at the back. Think about this: when a crash happens, the survivors are usually the ones. It goes nose down. And usually the survivors, if anybody survives from the plane, is going to be the folks who are seated at the back.
They have the best option to walk out, or at least live so get somebody to get you out.
Yeah. Dig you out of it or whatever you have to do. And another thing I want to talk to you about before we go on a break is travel light, as light as you possibly can. And also, and I learned this from my son, And so when he flies out, what he does, his clothes, he rolls them into the bag, and then that way you don't have wrinkled up clothes, because if you fold them, you're going to have the creases that are in there. So he's always done this. He'll put all of his pants and his shirts together, and then he does his major roll up. He does it pretty tight, major roll up, and he puts that in his bag. But we try to do carry-ons, and because how many times we had lost luggage?
Normally when you when we went out of the country one time, and your makeup was lost.
Yeah, of course. And then I had to go back. I had a business trip I had to take to New York.
The next day.
The next day. But they were actually great. So the airline actually brought my luggage to me just in the nick of time, so I didn't have to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. But traveling light is really important, and because of what happened with 9/11, it kind of makes it easier for you anyway, because you can't bring you remember we went somewhere, and I had just bought my hairspray, and it was in the big, because I always like to go bigger because it's cheaper by the ounce when you get the bigger canister of it. I just bought that, and so we had the luggage there. Well, they were just going crazy, opening up the luggage, looking at, and it was a can of hairspray that stopped us. And she said, "You can't carry that with you."
So somebody got some hairspray.
I said, "I just bought that," and she said, "Can't do it. Sorry." So you need to get the little travel size bottles in many things as you possibly can.
It needs to be something clear that they can see. And I think they've changed so much. We don't fly hardly anymore because it's just not fun. Because
we can drive.
Used to, you could go take somebody right on up to the plane just about and see them off, but not anymore.
Mm-mm.
Not anymore.
Mm-mm.
And I understand, they have rules and regulations because people have made it that way, unfortunately.
That's true. But you know something? One time we got a flight, it just almost seemed to be too good to be true. I mean, it was like we went to Chicago.
Right.
And it was a very inexpensive flight.
It was. But
what I noticed when we got on the plane, there were only airline pilots and flight attendants on it.
We had plenty of people.
And we almost had the whole plane to ourselves as well. So I was wondering why. And then apparently it was a test flight for a new pilot.
Yes, having to get his wings, I guess you could say.
He hit every air pocket that you possibly could. And it was actually on a nice sunshiny day. There was absolutely no rain in the forecast at all. Very few clouds were in the sky. And so it was like, well, what's going on? First of all, there aren't that many people on this plane. I'm looking around, I'm looking at all the empty seats, and I'm seeing just airline pilots, and then I'm seeing only flight attendants, and somehow we got on that flight. I don't know how that happened. But you remember what happened when we got off the flight? We looked up at the cockpit, and there was a guy. He was sweating.
But he made it.
I said, you know what? That's why this is this guy's first flight. And you can see him. He's a little bit overweight. And he had a handkerchief, and he was just wiping his face off. And he was just like he was just a nervous wreck.
Probably in his mind, he made it.
I wondered about that guy. Did he say, I don't want to do this, forget it. I'm not going to be an airline pilot.
Who knows? But he has to, somewhere down the road, they have to make that first flight.
Yeah, so beware if you get one that just seems like it was like $100-something, an incredible low cost to do that. So apparently that's what it was. So it's just one of those, and probably more people knew about it than we did. Probably. That's why we were the only two people on there who were not with the airline. But that's what we had to look forward to. Yep. So that was pretty different.
It was different.
But it was still worth it though. We got to challenge that.
And flying back into the country is an interesting thing.
Oh my goodness! You remember we went to Africa that time? It was a missionary trip, and it was on the way to Africa, I think. And there was a woman who was wailing and screaming and getting the entire 8 hours.
It was on the way back, and we found out when we got in that she was in handcuffs. They were bringing her back to the States. So I guess she had done something.
She'd done something.
But she whined all night long.
None of us
we had from the room. Even me, I could stretch out because there were a lot less people on the flight back in. But the whining all night long, you couldn't sleep long.
Well, so we've had some really strange experiences traveling throughout the years. But let's go into a commercial break, and we're going to give you some more tips on traveling. You hang in there, okay?
Because of your overwhelming support, our $14.88 MyPillow has been one of the biggest sales in MyPillow history. I couldn't think of a better way to say thank you than to extend our wholesale pricing through Christmas. Get a classic standard MyPillow for only $14.88. Upgrade to a queen size, just $18.88. King size, only $1 more. Get my body pillows for only $29.88. And ready? Multi-use MyPillows, only $9.88. It's perfect time to stock up for Christmas gifts for everyone on your list. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our wholesale pricing, including my classic standard MyPillows, only $14.88. But that's not all. I'm so confident you're going to love our classic MyPillows that I'm going to extend my 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st, 2025. Plus, orders over $75 ship absolutely free.
Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Age Television Talk Show. Co-host is my husband, Phillip Feazell, and it's good to have you on the show with me today.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Oh, I'm always here. I'm just on a different part. I'm behind the scenes because my desk is right to my right. Mm-hmm. And I'm working while you're working. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fun. I'm fixing it. It's fun. A lot of folks have asked, how do you manage to work with your husband in the same business? We've always done this. Yeah. Yeah. But it's just that we have different roles. I stay out of your role. Believe me, you don't want me doing any editing on it. She could do it. No, I don't want to do it. That's the key. She don't want to do it. I don't. I'm happy with what I'm doing right here. She knows how to do it. She's been to school on that. Yeah. Yeah. I really don't want to. I guess I go back to when you got the first computer in business, and I accidentally, I don't know what I was doing. I accidentally erased the whole accounting system. I was dreading telling you about it. Well, you were being very mild-mannered about it, but here's what made me mad. You said, you know what? Jesus saves, and so do I. And everything on a floppy. Well, that's back to floppy disk. Any accounting software, you have to have a way to back it up, because if not, if something happened, you'd lose everything. So fortunately, in the years that we have been in business, we have used QuickBooks all that time, I think it was, and we may have lost in a couple of days, maybe a week in our accounting software. So that's something we can recoup. So yeah, well. Those were 5.5 floppies, and then we went down to 3.5-inch floppies, and we thought we were killing that when we got there. And we went to the something like a cassette, I think it was. There's about 2 or 3 different kinds, but yeah, we have saw some changes. Oh yeah, and I'm loving the technology better as you go. But I did want to mention one thing, and that's watching the weather. Okay, yes. The weather, you're paid whether you're wrong or right. It doesn't matter. Your pay goes right on. But so we went to Asheville to meet Brad and Larissa, the Biltmore out that way, and so. But we use a lot. We use this website, Verbo.com, when we're traveling, and I'd rather use that, especially if it's going to be a 4 or 5 day stay. I would rather stay at a house somewhere that you can rent out for a few days. Plus, it winds up being cheaper anyway. And we had like 3 bedrooms, and some mother went with us, so we had 3 bedrooms, and then we had a kitchen. We got to cook. We got to do all. We eat out too, but
But that was so much fun to do that, you know, and it was a basement. It was a walkout basement, but I'm going to tell you, I'd live there any day. And the lady who owned the house was so gracious to let us stay down there, but that was part of the Verbo thing. But long story short, we try to pick the travel dates. And so because Larissa has a big extended family, that's my daughter-in-law. And so in order for her to be able to travel and go to Winston-Salem, Henderson, to be with her dad and all those things, we decided not to do Christmas with them. It's always the week before or the week after Christmas.
Right.
And sometimes it can be in January, depending on the weather. So we thought, okay, we got this licked. So we're going to go to Asheville. We're going to go to Asheville, see Biltmore and all that. And so we chose the first week in December because it's extremely rare they would have snow and ice. Right. Okay, because I don't like driving in snow and ice. Okay, I know how to drive in it, but people coming your way may not. You know, and there are people who are out there going, hey, y'all watch this. You know, those kinds of folks are out there on the road. And then the people who are from New York who think, well, I can drive in the ice, everybody else can, and they go full speed ahead. So I just choose not to when we're traveling. But guess what? Freak snow. So the lady who owned the house called. Remember, we're on the way.
We were on the way, and
we were in Tennessee.
She knew we were headed that way. So her and Donna kept in communication, and I was driving. We had stopped, I think, and ate lunch or something.
She said, you might want to hurry.
We were in Knoxville. And she said, well, it's now beginning to snow.
Guess what?
So when we got there,
but here's what she said. She said, but it's not going to be that big of a deal. It's never this early in the month, so you'll be okay. Then we got another phone call.
It's snow, big time snow. So we were in the snow trying to get to the place. And GPS messed us up on that one. We were almost there. I mean, it says you're here. So I exited off the road. We weren't there. GPS caught it just about a block up the road, I think. So I got stuck.
Because the weather can mess up GPS.
Stuck in the snow. And lady had a son with one of the four-wheelers or something, and she helped pull people out. So she pulled me out. And Brad and Larissa were coming the different direction, and they were slowed down and didn't have cell service because of where they were. But the lady who rented the house was on the road. She was directing everybody in that was coming, and we told her about Brad and Larissa coming. And I said, "Can you talk with them and tell them?" So I handed her phone, and we went on up to. Had to go up a little road like that to get to her house.
Yeah, the house was up slope.
And basement. And had been, we had to walk in the snow getting in there, but we made it. And Brad, every time we got up there unloading, they came up. So
well, I mean, we had to make this quick decision about that because she said, where are you? And I said, we're in Knoxville. And she said, Donna, it's snowing like a blizzard now.
we were to the point where it was not cheaper to go back home. So we went ahead.
Yeah, that's all. So might as well go on.
We had fun.
Oh, we had such a good time.
And we didn't get snowed in. We didn't get out till Sunday.
But then there's Brad and I playing Monopoly. And we took the whole family off because Brad and I playing Monopoly is like when Dad and I used to play Monopoly. It doesn't matter that he's my son. It doesn't matter to him that I'm his mother. He's not going to let me win. I'm not going to let him win. Finally, Larissa just had enough of it. She just gets the whole game and just says, oops. It fell in the floor. She got so tired. It went on hours.
Oh, yeah.
And so, nobody ever wins on that game with me and him. Larissa usually has enough. And she goes, okay, y'all gonna wind up being mad at each other, so I'm just knocking the whole thing off. And she did. But long story short, check the weather. Yeah. And it may be accurate and it may not be accurate. That's all I got to say about that.
We checked the weather and we were okay going through Tennessee.
Clear sunshine.
And then everything started going downhill there, not necessarily where we were, but before we got to our destination.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's the way it works. But have a backup plan if you can know ahead of time what to do. There was another time that we met Brad and Larissa in Helen, Georgia.
Yes.
That was a fun. I highly suggest you go on Christmas holiday there. It's beautiful. It's like Germany. It's just the architecture there.
Right.
I mean, everything there was just so beautiful. And it didn't snow, but it rained that day.
But we saw the next time we went up. No, was the time.
It had
When we
snow.
started up the mountain going into Helen, there was snow on the side of the road. So it had snowed before we got there.
But it was
that day,
melting.
it wasn't. We were good.
We got there just in the nick of time.
Right.
Had we went the week previous,
Right.
we would have been snowed in
We
there.
were snowed in.
And that would have been hard. It's about a lot like going to Asheville.
Yes,
Because there's a lot of these little winding roads and all this stuff getting through.
that's right.
But Asheville, and I wanted to mention this too before we get started on the next topic, was the Biltmore. Go to the Biltmore at least one time in your life, and now we've been different times of the
Right.
year. We went in summertime, and that was gorgeous out there. But Christmas time, if you can go at Christmas, now you can choose to stay there at the Biltmore, or you can get another hotel a little cheaper, or a lot cheaper if you wanted to do that.
Right.
But I'm just telling you, everything was decorated. They took us on tour. We got to see the library was my favorite room. Of course,
Right.
I love books anyway. But I mean, I thought I had a big library, but I'm just telling you, it was just books and ladders where you could move the ladder around
Right.
and reach up and get the tall books and the high books that were put up on the shelf. And the sky, the ceiling of it looked like a sky,
Right.
with the paintings and everything. But I suggest you go. Poinsettias, there had to be
Bunch of
5,000 poinsettias. There had to be. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful area. And I mean, a lot of fun. Oh, and the McDonald's there.
Oh yeah, the McDonald's was set up pretty much just like the Biltmore was,
Mm-hmm.
and that's unusual. Of course, it might have been a requirement
It
to get the
was.
space,
Mm-hmm.
and it looked a whole lot like that, and part of the
Well, Asheville wants little quaint looking. They want it to look like the Biltmore, a replica of the Biltmore. So the manager said, I said, I have never seen a McDonald's like this before in my life. And she said, well, it had to be planned with the zoning commission and with the
Yep.
Biltmore. And they said it had a fireplace with logs in it. I mean, it looked like, it's just a different one. But anyway, that was great. And then going to Helen, Georgia was a fun one too.
yes, and that was the same thing. It's kind of like a German town or something like that. Everything was set up to look like that.
If you go there, you got to get some chocolate.
So yeah,
The chocolates to die for. I mean, that was wonderful.
Right.
Now let's talk about when we traveled and we went to Niagara Falls.
okay.
Okay, so we flew out to New York. We got to Niagara Falls, but let's talk about keeping your passport. You got to have a passport if you go to Niagara Falls.
Right.
It's breathtaking on the American side, but I'm just telling you, even I'm admitting this. When you go to the Canadian side, just a walk, it's just like a little bridge.
Right.
You've still got to have a passport to get across, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we happen to have our passports with us. And somebody had told us that had been there, said, you better bring your passports because you want to see the Canadian side of Niagara Falls too. And so we will walk over, get the passport. So I would take, if you're going anywhere, border of anywhere in the United States, you're going to be crossing over the country.
Right.
It's just a good idea to have a passport with you so you can see that side of it as well. The Canadian side, like I said, was even more breathtaking.
That's where a lot of the shops were, because we got some genuine German chocolate while we were there.
Mm-hmm. It was
It was
good.
great.
Well, that was Canadian chocolate.
Okay.
And the German chocolate was when we went to Helen, Georgia, but that Canadian chocolate was good too. And their coffee, now, you can tell you, I love coffee where if you put a fork in it or a spoon in it, it's just going to stand up. I like my coffee to be extremely strong. It was strong. I mean, that was the best coffee ever.
It was good coffee.
But traveling tip, there you go. You got to make sure you carry your passport with you as well. Make sure that it's updated. We've got to get ours updated too, by the way.
Yes, we did. We
And
haven't been out a long time.
yeah, I haven't been out of the country in quite a few years. Yeah, been busy with businesses, haven't we?
Yes, almost have to work.
Yeah, well, the neat thing about what we do is we can carry the computers and stuff with us.
Yes, we sure can.
And we've done that. We've had several business trips, and usually we don't take a week for vacation. It's usually on like
Extended
a 3-day,
weekend,
extended weekend. And I kind of like to do that because I start getting the itch, and I want to be back home, and I want to be close to the chickens, and I want to be, and I don't like to travel in the summertime when the garden is coming in.
One of the biggest part of our travel has been before we got chickens and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We still have we didn't have a garden to start with,
Mm-hmm.
but we do now, and we have all our things going on.
Mm-hmm. But I like to travel and check out different food
Yes.
recipes. You know, went to Chicago,
Right.
and so everybody that had been to Chicago said you got to go to Gino's Pizza.
Yep.
Well, what they didn't tell us is there's 500 Gino Pizza
Right.
places in Chicago, but we found the one, and it looked like a dump
Yes, it
walking
did.
in. People had written all over the walls. I mean, you could do this and feel the grease on the walls. And so I sent somebody a picture who had been, and I said, "Is this the right one? Because this looks like a dump." And they said, "Yep, it looks pretty bad."
Yeah.
So, but they've got the world's best pizza.
Right.
And remember the flight? There was a big layover
Yes.
on that flight, and I was starving. I mean, I was so hungry. Well, their servers aren't quite like they are in the South. You know, where they go, "Honey, sweetheart, can I get you some sweet tea?" You know, that's what we're used to. So we get there and no sweet tea. They don't know what we're talking about instead of sweet tea. So the server comes up and she said, "Okay, what can I get you?" I mean, it's kind of gruff looking and acting. And so I said, "I want the biggest pizza you have. I'm hungry." I mean, we had a flight layover, couldn't get anything to eat. We were sitting on the plane forever. I don't know what that deal was, never did find out. But we were sitting on the plane for hours. And they, you know, the one little bag of peanuts just doesn't make it, you know, when you get the flight early in the morning and what have you. So anyway, I was just really hungry. And so she said, "No, you can't eat that." And I said, "Yes, I can. I'm hungry." I said, "I can eat one by myself, so you might want to get two of the biggest ones you have." And she said, "No, you're not going to be able to eat that. I'm going to order you." She's telling me what she was going to give me. She said, "I'm going to order you the small." And I said, "That's not going to do, but okay." So she did. She knew what she was talking about.
She'd been there and done
That
that.
thing was like that thick. One slice was
Think
all
you
I
had-
could handle.
You had one. I don't know if I finished two or not. We had pizza the next day too.
So know the locals and know how they do things, do a little bit of research. And I like to go to the small mom and pop restaurants when we travel.
New York, there was a different ball game. That was my birthday, so they found out about that from somebody, and
Yeah, you remember the strawberry shortcake?
that's what I'm saying. They had it on cornbread. It wasn't cake; it was cornbread with strawberries on it.
And I'm like, are they, this is birthday strawberry shortcake is what I thought we were getting him. And it was on a slice of cornbread. It was good though. I mean, it was good. It was just different. I mean, and it was at a barbecue place. There was a big cowboy outside. And there is a No Soup for You place in New York.
Right.
I had to go there. Did you ever watch Seinfeld, you know, where they got the segments with the guy,
Soup Nazi.
Soup Nazi, No Soup for You. You know, he actually chose who his customers were going to be. You were lucky that he would feed you soup. I mean, it was one of those deals. But there really is one that was not a walk-in restaurant, nothing like that. It was basically just a little outside area. They were inside. At night, they would close it down with these heavy metal things. And but I'm going to tell you, it was the best clam chowder I've ever had. You're not a clam chowder.
I'm not a clam chowder person, but that's we stopped there for her because she loves clam chowder, and
Yeah, but
it
you got
was the-
something else.
I don't know what I got, but yeah,
Chili, I think.
I'm good with chili too.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm just telling you, the soup, man, you got to go check that out if you ever go to New York. That's an absolute must.
Yes.
Now, I wanted to get back to flights. So what we found, the least busy flights you can get are the early morning flights. So I like, and they're also the least expensive for some reason. So I like to take the early morning, be there ready to take off at 6:30 a.m. And you're not so crazy about it.
No, I'm fine.
But I like those flights. And then on the way back later at night, those wind up being a lot cheaper. And also, if you're a little bit flexible with the time, you can get those cheaper as well. But I really don't like those because I've tried that a few times, and there'd be times we'd be stuck at an airport for 4 hours.
Missed flight one time. As a matter of fact, I was coming back from Chicago. Wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was impossible.
Because you land on one end, then you got to hurry to the next. And by the time we got to the next, got our luggage thing to the next one, they come.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Airport.
Which is the most confusing airport to you, the Houston one or the Atlanta one?
Atlanta. Well, no, though. Houston may not be as big, but I would say it's probably not as big as Atlanta.
Yeah, but the way it's situated. Because you got the main compartment right here, and then way off right here, it's like spokes of a wheel.
Yep. Where
they have all these different, and you've got. I mean, it takes forever to get over there. If you can get on a shuttle.
But you got to know what shuttle to get on.
And there's so many people going in and out of that airport.
And I was coming back to Charlotte from Houston, and I think we circled the airport about 2 hours because of weather. And when we got down on the ground, it hadn't even rained.
Yeah, I never understood.
It was somewhere between the ceiling of what they call the ceiling, and but I did. I circled and waited and.
It was kind of different. It really was. Now, I wanted to also say this: if you're going to extended trip, you can't do the carry-on. And by the way, be nice and kind to other people about that. Don't get an oversized carry-on where other people can't put their stuff in the top compartment.
Now I think they have it limited.
It needs
smaller. You can't put a full suitcase in there because you knock somebody down and hurt somebody trying to get it up and out. But they have changed to a different area.
Oh man, you remember the time? Of course, I'm always trying to save money. So I got us this flight. The problem is we couldn't be seated together. And so you remember you were on the aisle, and then I was in the middle. No, the sky was on the aisle, and then you were at the window, and I was sitting in the middle.
No, he wound up being in the middle.
Yeah, he was in the middle.
Yeah.
And then we were talking to each other, like talking over him. That's what it was. Well, I thought, this is annoying to this guy. And so I just asked the guy, I said, you want to switch seats with us? I said, because this business trip and we're on a business trip. So, I've got to talk with him this flight right here. And he just looked at me, and what he said.
You said, do you have a problem? He said, I guess not.
I guess I can live with it.
Something like that.
He said, I can live with it. And I said, well, I'm trying to not talk over you is what I'm trying to do. And so then I think we finally made him happy because he wanted the window seat. So it was like, so be courteous. If you're sitting in the middle and there's a husband and there's a wife or significant other or whatever, why don't you suggest that let's swap seats? I mean, just be nice about it. But that guy, he just got plain hateful about it.
He was upset.
Mm-hmm. And then if you have kids and the kids are, like kicking somebody in the seat ahead of you, don't let your kids do that.
No.
I've had that before with some of those flights, and that gets kind of old. Now, with me, I love kids. So like first, hour's fun. It's, like it's kind of almost like a exercising your back sort of, but like ongoing yelling, screaming, and all that kind of stuff. Just
when you're through with that, then you want to go and take a nap or something.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about airport security. And we kind of touched on that just some. So we go with Mother, and Mother goes with us to New York. And I told Mother good and well, don't wear a bunch of jewelry. First of all, you're going to be a target for the thugs. Okay, they're going to see you with all these diamonds and all that kind of stuff on. And she didn't listen to me. She wore every ring she had. And then not only that, but stacks of necklaces and bracelets and all this kind of stuff. When I travel, sometimes I wear my wedding ring. Sometimes I don't even wear another ring on the other hand because you are a target. But at the airport, it's another issue because they're going to stop you. You're going to have to take all those things off just to make sure that you're okay, that you don't have a bum on you or something.
Put them all, everything, if it's metal, they have to put it in a container and they move it over, let you come through. Mm-hmm. Make sure you don't have anything you forgot.
And also it depends on if there's a thug who wants to like bomb the airport or whatever. there was one time I had to take a business trip. And so this woman's looking at my handbag and she starts running off with my eyeshadow. It was eyeshadow, it only had 4 colors on it. And so I'm like, why is she running off with my eyeshadow? Well, somehow some thug, we're going to blow up the airport somehow using cosmetics.
Yep.
And so I had to ask, I said, well, why are you running off with my eyeshadow? I can't do anything with that, can I? And it was just, he didn't totally explain, but later on I found out that's what it was. Somebody was using a combination of ingredients. It wasn't even makeup in it, but they were going to try to use that and diffuse somehow and make a bomb and blow a bunch of people up. So, and then there was another time that I took a business trip flight. And so they were questioning any woman who was blonde and middle-aged. Right. And so they took me over to the side, and apparently some of the thugs were going to use a blonde, middle-aged woman that was in the chatter. Yep. And they were going to use somebody like that.
They try all kind of crazy stuff.
So if they take you off somewhere and you're on a flight and you're trying to figure out, I'm blonde, middle-aged, what are they doing that for? And I actually thanked them for that. And they looked at me because the other women were getting pretty teed off, who were taken off to the side. And I said, no, I appreciate it. I'm glad to know I'm on a safe flight. That was right after 9/11. Yeah. So, a lot of things are really aggravating, and which is why we don't fly anymore. It's not as fun as it used to be. And you have to make sure that when you're standing in line, you don't look like you've got an aggravated look on your face, because people suspect you if you're aggravated, so agitated and all that kind of stuff. So most people just stand in line. It's a lot different than it used to be.
Way different, yes.
But I would think some of that's weighed down just a little bit.
I think it's a little bit overboard on some things, but
not as aggressive as it was.
Not as aggressive as it was.
Mm-hmm. So these are some travel tips that we've got for you. Just make sure that try not to leave the day before, especially if you're driving and you live in a big town or you're going to a big town. That can make it a little bit difficult for you there as well. And try to go and get the flights. Try to buy the flights earlier in the week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. After midnight, that's when they're changing over inventory. And just do a little planning.
That's what it's all about, is research and plan. That will help you get where you need to be, maybe with less hassle.
Mm-hmm. And there will be some. There always will be.
There's always some we come up.
But this makes life a whole lot easier. You can enjoy your holidays a whole lot easier that way. And
maybe tip the right way.
Yeah. We took a flight one time. I thought the man was going to beat you up.
Well, you're talking about
the restaurant.
Vegas. We went to Vegas.
Yeah.
And I tipped him what I thought was,
which was a lot.
Pretty good bit. Oh, big spender. Okay.
It was a lot. And yeah, big spender is what he called you. And then the restaurant in New York.
Well, he
came running out after us.
I just messed up on everything and didn't tip him right or something. I don't know what it was. But anyway, I said, well, we know where not to come back.
Yeah, your attitude alone was not yours. His attitude alone was enough to go. So just be careful when you're out there and you're traveling. Know the area, know where not to go when you go into a town if you're very unfamiliar with it. It's a good Christmas trip. Think of Home Alone, okay? Think about it. Those things really can happen.
They can.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Television Talk Show. And Phil is my husband and puts everything together, the technical guru guy. So thanks for being with me, Phil.
You're welcome.
And thank you for watching. Continue sending email. I love them. Donna@donnasedge.com. That's Donna@donnasedge.com. Thanks for watching.